Welcome back. This is part 4. What do you think of Eleanor Roosevelt's opening statement? Did you like it? It's rather celebratory, almost majestic, isn't it? Well, as mentioned before, the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights marks the beginning of a new phase in the development of human rights law, a phase that is sometimes referred to as the golden age of human rights. So welcome to the golden age of human rights. And of course, we should also add it here on our overview. In that new age, we have 3 levels of human rights protection. We have the universal level, the regional level, and the national level. At the universal level, we have a number of instruments that come in here, and you have the most important here on the slide, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Genocide Convention, the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Now, as we have seen before, the Universal Declaration on Human Rights is not a treaty, it's just a declaration, so not legally binding. And this is different for the other 3. The Genocide Convention and the 2 covenants are treaties, international agreements, in the sense of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. So they are legally binding, they bind the states that are parties to them. However, what is lacking is a proper enforcement mechanism. There is no real enforcement here at that level, and that's the shortcoming of universal human rights protection. This is different for regional human rights protection systems, such as the one that is provided for in the European Convention on Human Rights, or in the American Convention of Human Rights, or in the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. All of those go with human rights courts, so regional human rights courts such as the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. At the national level, of course, we have constitutional rights as guaranteed by national constitutional law. And also here we have a court system that makes sure that those rights are enforceable. At the universal level, what we do have at this level is the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. It's an office headquartered in Geneva. Its head is the High Commissioner, who is the principal human rights official of the United Nations. The office is part of the United Nations Secretariat. It's a rather big institution, employing approximately 900 people. And here you have how it describes its activities. I quote, "To fulfill its comprehensive human rights mandate, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights speaks out objectively in the face of human rights violations worldwide. It provides a forum for identifying, highlighting, and developing responses to today's human rights challenges and acts as the principal focal point of human rights research, education, public information, and human rights advocacy activities in the United Nations system." So as you can see, not a proper enforcement institution. It's all about speaking out, identifying, highlighting, developing responses, research, education, public information, and so on. That's what we have at the universal level, and this is all. It's different at the regional level. In those regional human rights protection systems. Here we have proper courts that can render judgments that can enforce the rights that are guaranteed in the regional charters. The next point in our program is different categories of human rights. We distinguish between three different categories or three generations of human rights. First generation human rights are also referred to as fundamental freedoms, and those include, for example, the liberty of religion, the liberty of expression, liberty of association, and the right to property, and so on. Second generation human rights that are also referred to as economic and social rights include, for example, the right to education, the right to work, the right to participation in cultural life, etc. Third generation human rights are not individual rights. Those are collective rights of whole groups of people or whole peoples. And here also a few examples. We have, for example, the right to independence, the right to development, the right to a proper environment. Let's have a look at this article in the American Convention on Human Rights. So here we are at the regional level of human rights protection, which of course is also part of international human rights law. It's not global, but it's international. And here we have Article 21, right to property. So when you read that article, what do you think? Which category or which generation of human rights do we have here? Well, I think this one is fairly obvious. Obviously, this is fundamental freedom. It's a typical example of a fundamental freedom, first generation human right. Let me show you a case, the Sarayaku case, and let me give you some background. The case is about the Kichwa indigenous people of Sarayaku, a people living in the Amazon region of Ecuador. You have it on the map. It's a fairly big territory inhabited by some 3,000 people. Now this territory, as other areas of the Amazon region, is rich in hydrocarbons, gas and petrol, which is why there started to be hydrocarbons exploration projects in that area. A private petrol company and state institutions of the state of Ecuador were interested in exploring hydrocarbon resources on that territory, which was opposed by the Kichwa indigenous people of Sarayaku. And the Kichwa people of Sarayaku brought their case before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights that rendered a landmark judgment in 2012. And here on that picture, you have representatives of the Kichwa people of Sarayaku testifying at the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in Costa Rica. The Kichwa indigenous people of Sarayaku opposed that project for years, and they resisted that project. And finally, they reached a decision, a judgment of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in their favor. And what you have here is one of the central passages in that judgment. Well, when you read that, what do you think? What kind of human rights, which category, which generation of human rights do we have here? Let's reflect a little bit on that. Let's have a short break. And as soon as you have made up your mind on that question here, you're invited to go into the next podcast, into part 5.